Good afternoon. A man is dead and another is seriously injured after a late-night shooting in Brampton.
Police are now looking for suspects who left the scene in a white four-door sedan. CTV's John Musselman is live in Brampton this afternoon with the latest. John.
Well, Michelle, this happened in a home behind me. It's still sealed off by police. We can show you some video taken at the scene this morning. Now, police say it happened at number 7 Odeon. Information from neighbors is that they heard multiple shots ring out last night around 11:30. Now, neighbors also say they believe a man was on the driveway when he was targeted by a shooter who showed up in a vehicle, according to neighbors. Now, police haven't confirmed that information yet, but they are telling us that this is not an isolated incident. It appears to be a targeted shooting. We're trying to piece together information on who lives in the home. One neighbor told us he believes the home is being rented. Here's what a sergeant with Peel Regional Police had to tell us just a short time ago.
Clearly, this is early on in the investigation. This is a multifaceted investigation. We were going to look at this from every angle, whether it's organized crime or whether it's targeted or what the circumstances are specifically.
Again, the street here remains sealed off in Brampton. We know forensics officers are here. They're combing the driveway for any evidence in connection to this. One neighbor told me they heard at least 10 shots ring out. Another neighbor said they heard 6. All we do know is that multiple shots were fired here. One man is dead and another person has been injured. Police are looking for a suspect who believed to have left the scene. 2 suspects in a white vehicle. Reporting live at the scene in Brampton, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
All right. Thank you, John. York Regional Police are investigating after shots were fired at a home in Georgina. Police say a vehicle drove past a home near Canal Drive and Church Street around 5 p.m. Tuesday, and multiple shots were fired. The house was hit by several bullets, but there were no injuries. A dark-colored SUV was seen traveling eastbound on Church Street. Investigators are looking for any video surveillance or dash cam video from the area around the time of the shooting.
Peel police are investigating what led to a fatal crash in Mississauga early this morning. Emergency crews were called to Wolfdale Road and Central Parkway around 1:30, where a taxi crashed into a pool. The driver, a 25-year-old man, was pronounced dead on scene. There is no word if weather conditions played a factor in this incident.
It began as a dramatic smash-and-grab robbery that stunned shoppers inside Markville Mall.
It ended near McCowan and Highway 7 with a car crash, a brief police pursuit, and the arrest of 6 suspects. CTV's Mike Walker has the story.
10 suspects can be seen smashing the windows of a jewelry store inside Markville Mall. 2 of the suspects are seen using hammers to break into the store and smash display cases, while other suspects are seen stealing items.
These people with the sledgehammer, they were banging the glass, and the glass was shattering.
The brazen robbery happened over the lunch hour. One witness says the store's security guard was assaulted.
They're banging punch with the security guard's face.
Witnesses say it lasted less than 5 minutes. The violent robbery sending mall employees and customers running for safety.
The people, they start running from the to the escalator, yelling and screaming.
Police say some of the suspects took off in this Honda Civic that ended up rear-ending another vehicle at McCowan and Highway 7, injuring 2 people.
The occupants of the vehicle that was rear-ended did receive minor injuries and were taken to a local hospital as a precaution.
That led officers to chasing the suspects on foot. In total, police say they arrested 6 suspects. 2 were found inside this Tim Hortons a short distance from the scene. It's the second smash-and-grab robbery in York Region this week. On Monday afternoon, 4 suspects robbed the People's Jewelry store at Hillcrest Mall. But at this point, police say the 2 incidents are not connected.
We can understand the level of fear that this can cause. However, these are targeted incidents.
Police say no one inside the jewelry store was injured. Inside the mall, a significant police presence throughout the afternoon as investigators collect evidence. Neighboring businesses say thieves have targeted this store before.
This is the second time, actually, I was witnessing the same jewelry store that they attacked. I felt like I cannot explain that. Am I really seeing this?
At this point, investigators are continuing to determine how many other suspects were involved. Mike Walker, CTV News.
Still to come on CTV News at noon, get ready to pay more at the grocery store. Food prices are expected to rise by as much as 5% in the new year. We'll tell you why just ahead.
We have more news in a moment, but first, here's a live look at the city this afternoon. The ice rinks are open. People are out there enjoying themselves. It is a little bit chilly out there, though, so bundle up if you are heading outside, especially if you're going to be out there for a while. Jessica Smith is here with a look at the current conditions. Hey, Jess.
Hey, it is definitely cool out there. We have a really breezy northwesterly wind through the entirety of our day today, so keep that in mind. It's going to make it feel so much cooler than it is. And that is prompting more lake effect flurries as we head throughout the day, holding off just west of the GTA for the most part. But we will see that snow start to trickle in as we head through the evening. Still watching for snow squall watches and warnings. We're not under any advisories right now here in the city, but that can change very quickly. Again, the wind is the bigger issue. Once again, this time a northwesterly flow, adding that bit of a chill to the air. Temperature-wise, we're sitting at 0, but it feels like -8. Everywhere is going to feel just a little bit colder as we head throughout the day today, thanks to that change in wind direction. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast. Right now, I'll send it back to Nathan.
Thank you, Jess. 3 men are facing charges after police found more than 50 vehicles at a chop shop south of Cambridge. Waterloo Regional Police say they uncovered the operation in November when they were told a Toyota Tundra that had been stolen from the GTA would be found there. Police say 2 other Lexus vehicles stolen from the GTA were also found. In total, 52 vehicles worth a total of $4 million were recovered. Police say most of them had been stripped for parts that were being sent overseas to repair other stolen vehicles.
If you were hoping to see some relief at the grocery store next year, it may take a Christmas miracle. Food prices are due to rise as much as 5% in 2025, outpacing the Bank of Canada's target inflation rate of 2%. Canada's food price report says costs will rise between 3 and 5% next year. In real-world terms, it means a family of 4 will spend close to $17,000 on food next year. That is an extra $800. With a closer look at the findings and what they'll mean for your grocery bills, we're joined live now by CTV's Scott Hurst. Scott, people think food is already way too expensive. Many people don't have an extra $800. What is this report telling us? Where are we seeing the biggest increases?
Michelle, affordability concerns will continue in 2025. $800 more per year for a typical family of 4. That's a lot of money, no matter who you are. Of course, that's just more on food, regardless of all the other affordability concerns that we have. And so whether it's just feeding yourself or a family of 4, this is a lot more money that you're going to have to shell out for food. Some of the biggest increases, meat prices, vegetables, those are both staples to a balanced diet, as well as meals out at restaurant. Compared to recent years, we likely won't see the roller coaster ride of fluctuating prices or the massive sticker shock that many of us have felt in the checkout aisle over the past couple of years. But this is still a significant increase where the price of food is outpacing the average annual inflation. Here's more from Sylvain Charlebois from the Agri-Food Analytics Lab on where you might be able to save a few dollars on your grocery bill.
5-10 years ago, people didn't know much about food prices. Now they are paying attention, and they know if a price is too high, and that's a good thing. The one thing I would suggest to your viewers right now is to look for loyalty programs. Grocers are looking for loyalty, and loyalty programs are way more generous now than just 6 months ago. So keep an eye on them.
All right, Michelle, there's a tip to maybe save a few dollars. Now, the report cites a wide range of factors that lead to this increase in food prices next year, including climate change, geopolitical factors like wars overseas, energy costs, a weaker Canadian dollar, and of course, ongoing affordability concerns here at home. But there's an extra wild card in this report that really is an uncertain, because we ultimately don't know how this might play out, but that is the incoming Donald Trump administration and the threat of tariffs that he has potentially put on Canada and Mexico. That could have a wide-ranging negative impact on our overall economy, and of course, have a negative impact on food prices as well. So that is stated in the report as a wild card, really an uncertain, but that could be something that really upends the price of food. But already it appears the price of food will continue to outpace inflation next year, so there will continue to be significant affordability concerns at the checkout aisle.
That is unsettling. CTV's Scott Hurst live for us in the National Newsroom. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
As Ottawa prepares for trade tensions with the Trump administration, parties on Parliament Hill continue to face off.
Another non-confidence motion is set to be presented in the House of Commons today. The Conservatives have vowed to put the measure forward, directly quoting words said by the NDP leader, Jagmeet Singh, critiquing Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his minority Liberal government. But Singh has already said he won't support the non-confidence push, denying it a majority. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister this morning addressed the Assembly of First Nations Special Chiefs who've been gathering in Ottawa.
But of course, for all that we've been able to do together, there is much more to do. And I feel the same urgency as you do to move forward, because every day that goes by, there are more problems that we haven't resolved, and there are more issues that we need to keep working on. But as we do it together, we will continue to show up, we will continue to listen, we will continue to work with you as true partners in the future of this beautiful land that we live on.
The Assembly is calling for a national inquiry into systemic racism in policing and police-related deaths involving First Nations people. They also discussed 9 resolutions dedicated to reforming the First Nations Child and Family Services program. This after chiefs in October voted against a $47 billion deal with Canada to do just that.
The Canada Post workers' strike has now reached the 3-week mark, but there are signs talks between the two sides may be resuming. Canada Post says it's reviewing a new counter-proposal submitted by the union representing more than 55,000 postal workers. The union says it's ready to get back to federal mediation, which was put on pause last week. One of the key issues has been a push to expand delivery to the weekend, but the two sides are at odds over how to staff the expansion. Canada Post has pitched the expansion as a way to boost revenue, as it's been struggling to compete with other delivery companies.
To Queen's Park now, where the Premier is proposing new legislation to help Ontario's mayors deal with the issue of homeless encampments.
Doug Ford is promising new tools and supports to help address the issue and says he believes it can be done in line with the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris has the details.
The Premier says new legislation is coming to help cities and towns deal with the growing problem of encampments. The promise comes in a letter sent to a dozen Ontario mayors. They're a group that responded to something of a challenge Doug Ford issued in late October.
Why don't the big city mayors actually put in writing that they want the province to change the homeless program, make sure that we move the homeless along, and why don't they put in, use the notwithstanding clause or something like that? Let's see if they have the backbone to do it.
More than 12 mayors asked the Premier to do just that, but hundreds more leaders in local politics and law have urged the Premier not to. Ford is promising more supports for shelters, tools for police to clear encampments and crack down on public drug use. The Premier says he's confident that the coming bill is common sense, in line with the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. So he writes that he doesn't expect the legislation will need to proactively invoke Section 33 of the Charter. But he says if courts get in the way, the government is fully prepared to use the notwithstanding clause.
The last time the Ford government invoked the notwithstanding clause was 2 years ago to try and prevent a strike by school support workers. That move rescinded after national outcry. The new bill will be introduced next week in the final few days before MPPs leave for their winter break. At Queen's Park, Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Premier Doug Ford took part in a phone interview on Fox News. Here's what he said when asked about that comment from President-elect Donald Trump about Canada becoming America's 51st state.
Well, you know, the president has a good sense of humor, and, you know, it's a funny comment. I guess he's still upset that, you know, in 1812 we burnt down your White House, and he's holding a grudge after 212 years. But I understand his, you know, he's a funny guy.
Ford spoke with Fox's Neil Cavuto. The Premier said it's unfortunate that Canada has been lumped into the tariff conversation with other nations, and the real focus should be on China and Mexico. Ford added Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's visit with Trump was the right call. A warning, some of the details and footage in this next story may be disturbing. 2 people are in hospital today after a violent incident inside a downtown Vancouver convenience store.
The suspect is dead after being shot by police. CTV's Ben Miljur has more.
Move over! Right now! Move over! Hey!
This is the moment police shot and killed a suspect alleged to have stabbed a person inside this 7-Eleven. Another person was hurt. According to police, this all started moments earlier when the man allegedly stole a bottle of liquor from the restaurant across the street. Witnesses say he was armed with a knife, acting erratically on the sidewalk before entering the store and threatening employees.
They just said, you can take whatever you want, but he didn't listen. He tries to stab that lady inside and him. Then police came and police tried to stop him. He didn't listen, so they shot it, and I don't know whatever happened after that.
One of the victims was stabbed. Police could not say what type of injuries the second victim suffered. BC Emergency Health Services says it treated the suspect and both victims. All three were rushed to hospital with critical injuries. The suspect was later pronounced dead.
We were able to stop the threat to the public. It's unfortunate that 2 people were injured and that a man was shot by our officers, but because of our immediate response, we were able to stop that threat to the public.
As with all police-involved shootings in the province, the Independent Investigations Office will look into the actions of officers to see if the force was justified. They'll be looking to speak with a number of witnesses who can describe what they saw when it comes to the actions of the suspect and the police response.
He got angry and he just went to stab that lady, and all of a sudden everything happened. Police came and police shot this guy.
This has been a very traumatic incident for people who watched the violence unfold. One man who did not want to appear on camera choking back tears as he described to me what he saw. Ben Milger, CTV News, Vancouver.
It's been more than 24 hours since a healthcare executive was shot in a brazen daytime shooting in New York City.
Today, a massive manhunt for the killer continues in New York City. The attack happened outside a Manhattan hotel, and the suspect was last seen fleeing into Central Park. CTV's Joy Malbin has more.
This is the shocking moment when the gunman raises his weapon and in a brazen attack takes aim and fires multiple times, killing Brian Thompson, a healthcare executive, in the early morning hours.
Every indication is that this was a premeditated, pre-planned, targeted attack. This does not appear to be a random act of violence.
The father of 2 and CEO of United Healthcare, one of the largest insurers in America, was attending a conference in Midtown Manhattan. Police say the gunman appeared at a Starbucks wearing a mask and that distinctive backpack before the shooting, and then waited.
He ignores numerous other pedestrians, approaches the victim from behind, and shoots him in the back. It appears that the gun malfunctions as he clears the jam and begins to fire again.
As police search for a motive in what appears to be a targeted execution, Thompson's wife Paulette told news outlets her husband had recently received some threats, describing the father of 2 as an incredibly loving, generous, talented man who truly lived life to the fullest. We are shattered. Police handing out flyers of the suspect, finding 3 bullet casings and a cell phone at the scene after the suspect fled, jumping on an e-bike before disappearing into Central Park.
And I saw him after he shot him. He ran across the street this way.
Even for hardened New Yorkers, it was too much.
I mean, it's New York. It's not normal here at 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning, but it's pretty scary, huh?
Joy Malbin, CTV News, Washington.
And we're learning today that the masked gunman who carried out yesterday's shooting may have sent a message through the ammunition he used. A law enforcement official says the bullets used to kill Brian Thompson were inscribed with the words deny, defend, and depose. It's believed those words reference strategies used by health insurance companies to try to avoid paying a claim.
The Prime Minister of Qatar says he believes U.S. President-elect Donald Trump wants a ceasefire in Gaza before his January inauguration.
Well, actually, we are in touch with the incoming administration and with the President Trump advisor, and we are trying to coordinate with them our efforts, and all of us we agree and we are hoping to get over the situation before the president comes to the office, because we have priorities to stabilize the situation in Gaza. We have priorities in order to restore regional security. And such a statement is expected, and we hope that it will work.
This comes as hospital officials in southern Gaza say 11 children are among at least 21 killed in an Israeli airstrike Wednesday. This happened in the Al-Mawasi area, which Israel had designated as a humanitarian zone. Israel's military says it carried out a precise strike on senior Hamas officials. It also pointed to secondary explosions after the strike as proof militants had been storing weapons in the area.
There was a stark warning today from the leader of the UK's armed forces. Admiral Tony Radakin is chief of the defense staff in Britain. He said the world stands at the cusp of a third nuclear age, defined by simultaneous challenges and weakened safeguards that kept previous threats in check. He specifically cited increased cooperation between North Korea and Russia amid Russia's ongoing invasion of Ukraine. This comes as NATO calls for higher military spending targets from members, further than the 2% GDP level Canada has yet to meet.
If longer term we want to keep our deterrence at the level it is now. Now it is okay. We can now defend ourselves and nobody should try to attack us. But I want that to stay the same in 4 or 5 years.
At a meeting of NATO ministers, Mark Rutte also called for better protective measures for NATO countries, saying Russia and China have tried to destabilize and divide with acts of sabotage, cyber attacks, and energy blackmail. Ministers also discussed ongoing ways to support Ukraine's against Russia's ongoing invasion.
In South Korea, thousands poured onto the streets to protest against President Yoon Suk-yeol for declaring martial law. Yoon is facing an impeachment vote this Saturday following the stunning but brief imposition of martial law that brought armed troops into Seoul streets. South Korean police have also launched an investigation into President Yoon for potential sedition. The Democratic Party and other small opposition parties submitted a joint motion to impeach Yoon.
Le Premier ministre doit remettre au président de la République la démission du gouvernement.
And in France, more political turbulence. The country's parliament has passed a non-confidence motion in the government of Prime Minister Michel Barnier, forcing him to resign. This marks the first time a vote like that has succeeded since the year 1962. The right-wing and left-wing blocs outnumber the centrist bloc backed by President Emmanuel Macron, who will try to choose a new PM with sufficient support. Back here at home, and the countdown to tip-off is on, and it's official. Toronto's WNBA team will be called the Tempo.
The name and logo inspired by the rhythm of the city, country, and game of basketball. CTV Sean Leithong is live outside Scotiabank Arena with more, and it seems like the operative word is rhythm, Sean.
It seems like that, Nathan and Michelle, and it seems like a lot of people are liking what they're hearing so far. Now, the name itself, Tempo, actually was leaked yesterday, so the team having to kind of roll out their logo and their team name maybe a little bit earlier than they want to, but they did release a video this morning that kind of focuses on the logo, the color itself being a light blue with the letter T in it, some race lines on the side, but also they say that when their merchandise does come out, the team colors will actually be a red and a light blue. Now, there had been a call out to many people in Canada to help inspire the name, and they said the name Tempo was actually entered multiple times. Now, this morning, the Toronto Raptors were actually having a shoot-around, and we spoke to the two Canadian players, Chris Boucher and RJ Barrett, about what they think of the new name of the first Canadian WNBA team.
It's about the game of basketball, a game that we know and love. It's not about being fast or slow. It's about the control of the game. And ultimately, you know, as Canadians, we're not playing someone else's game. We're defining ours.
I like it. You know, I like it. I think it kind of makes sense. It's kind of cool. So, you know, I think they did a great job with that. And like I said, I think it's going to bring so much excitement to the city. So, you know, I know we're all ready for it.
I think they did a really good job. I think Tempo is a really good name for a WNBA team. And hopefully, you know, it's a team that plays with speed and, like, you know, helps the tempo, so it goes with the name.
Now, the fans are going to have to hold off on the Tempo so far because the team doesn't join the league until 2026. Now, Golden State joins the league this year or next year, coming up in 2025, this upcoming season. And then Toronto and Portland will join the following season in 2026, making the league a 15-team league. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leithong. Nathan, I'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, Sean. On the ice, the Maple Leafs were home to the Nashville Predators last night, looking for their third win in a row.
It'll come to Morgan Riley. Here's Matthews in front, scores! What a pass! Mitch Marner to 34, and the game is tied. Guys together.
They were trailing 1-0 when Austin Matthews scored 31 seconds into the third period. Matthews gave the Leafs the lead just after 2 minutes later on a nice feed from Mitch Marner. The Predators scored a late goal, but the Leafs held on for a 3-2 victory. Toronto will welcome in the Washington Capitals tomorrow night.
Meanwhile, 4 Leafs will be taking part in the upcoming Four Nations face-off. Mitch Marner was named to the Team Canada roster. He joined superstars Connor McDavid, Nathan MacKinnon, and Sidney Crosby on the team. Austin Matthews was one of the original picks for Team USA, while William Nylander was an early pick for Sweden. And despite only appearing in 2 games this season, Leafs defenseman Yannick Hakanpää was a surprise addition to the Team Finland. The tournament takes place next month, with games being played in Montreal and Boston.
A cool day ahead of us as we get through nearly the end of the week. A northwesterly wind that is quite gusty, so hold on to your hats and layer up if you plan on spending some time outside. Sunny now, but the cloud cover and the flurry activity return later on this afternoon and this evening. Not nearly as much as yesterday, but something to note because it will come just in time for that commute home for a lot of people. We're looking, though, right now at about 0. We don't change much this afternoon, and that wind chill is fresh. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast, including what we can expect as we look ahead to the weekends.
Well, no sign of the snow downtown, but you can still see it in other parts of the city.
I definitely saw some, good, 2 centimeters. It was cold and it was crunchy. Yeah. But I think a lot of the kids are just loving this. It definitely changes recess and the vibe. But for folks scraping things off today, probably not fun.
You know, there's a balance with it, right? I know the kids really love it. And we have more snow the further west you go of the city. So say if you are towards like Milton or maybe anywhere really in Halton or east of us, you've got a decent amount of snow. You can probably, get out, do a little bit of light tobogganing, but we're going to probably lose it as we head in towards next week as we watch for rain. But for now, we're focused on the positive, and that's the fact that we at least have sunshine, although it is very cold out there. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm. Injury lawyers, you don't pay unless they win. Now, a little cloud cover to start the day, but the sun has made its way out. A beautiful shot of the city from just outside the core as we made our way throughout our morning in that chilly commute for a lot of people. Now, temperature-wise today, it will be noticeably fresher because of the change in wind direction, but overall, we're still holding on just above that seasonal point. Now, as we make our way through the rest of our afternoon today, you're going to want to layer up if you do have plans to spend any time outdoors because wind gusts are near 60 kilometers an hour throughout the entire day. Sitting at the freezing mark right now, it feels like -7. It's a little cooler out through Windsor, but Northern Ontario really takes the cake when it comes to cold weather for now. Throughout our afternoon, really no change when it comes to our temperatures. We watch for cloud cover into the second half of the day and then the likelihood of some lake effect flurries late afternoon and then overnight. So this will impact the commute for a lot of people making their way home. Overnight, it's cold. We're dropping down to -7. It'll feel like -15 here in the city and across a good portion of the GTA. Frostbite can happen very quickly when we get that cold, so if you can, limit your time outdoors or just cover any exposed skin. But it stays cold right throughout the evening. The bulk of the snow today, again, lake effect snow, still prompting snow squall watches and warnings and some winter weather travel advisories. So those typical areas along the eastern shorelines of Lake Huron and Georgian Bay, they're getting the brunt of it thanks to this trough kind of extending off that low that brought all that messy weather yesterday. As we head throughout our day today, though, really it's not too bad to get things started. The cloud cover rolls in through the afternoon. Early evening is when we see that band of lake effect flurry, but it's not really going to be all that intense, but just keep that in mind. It could impact your drive, and it is very cold tonight. Throughout your day tomorrow, a decent amount of sunshine. We're holding on to that throughout the majority of our day. Into the afternoon, the cloud cover rolls in, but the snow stays pretty far north. Again, lake effect flurry activity. As we step into your Saturday, we don't warm up all that much, but we don't see too much in the way of any extreme active weather, so it is a busy time. Holiday shopping, traveling, maybe heading out to find where the snow is. If you want to do a little early skiing or skating, you'll want to maybe head outside of the GTA. Temperature-wise, again, right at the freezing mark, we see the bulk of that cloud cover lift into our Friday, at least to start the day. So it is quite cold as we head throughout the end of the work and school week, but at least we'll see a little sunshine out there. Into your weekend, though, we see the chance of flurries return, but we're holding at the freezing mark, which is important. And then we start to do a little bit of a short warming trend. So we head into our Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Back on the positive side, the precipitation that falls as rain because it is quite mild out there, which welcome maybe for some, but as we head in towards the middle of next week and temperatures drop, we watch for the chance of a little flash freezing, so keep that in the back of your mind. It is going to be a short-lived warm-up as we head through our Sunday through to Tuesday, and then things start to cool down again, and it changes back from rain to snow. Nathan, Michelle, I'll send things back over to you.
Thank you, Jess.
Thanks.
We're now just a day away from Taylor Swift's final leg of her Eras Tour concerts in Vancouver.
And while many shelling out jaw-dropping amounts of money for tickets, some politicians got the coveted seats for free. Here's CTV's Abigail Turner.
You could compare getting Taylor Swift tickets to winning the lottery.
Welcome to the Eras Tour.
The coveted concert had Swifties paying hundreds, even thousands, for a chance to see the Eras Tour. But for Federal Minister Harjit Sajjan, his way into BC Place was covered by taxpayers.
I can't believe I actually have to say this, but if politicians want to take their kids to a Taylor Swift concert, they should be paying out of pocket.
Pavco, the company that operates BC Place, is a Crown corporation. It says it offered 120 tickets to stakeholders, business partners, First Nations, and politicians in exchange for a donation to the Vancouver Food Bank.
Here's the thing, though. This is actually what it is about. It's actually raising money for the food bank, something that I do every single year. And I remind everybody of my family and my daughter and my family. We already had 4 tickets before, which we didn't end up going to in Toronto, and we sold those at cost.
Sajjan donated $1,500 to the Vancouver Food Bank in return for the tickets. The Crown Corp calls the ticket handout a normal course of business and plans to continue the practice.
We need a total overhaul of the procedures at BC Pavco if they are handing out tickets to VIPs and politicians, leaving taxpayers with the bill. This is incredibly inappropriate and unacceptable.
Meanwhile, other politicians turned down the perk, including Mayor Ken Sim and Premier David Eby. Sajjan says he was given approval by the Ethics Commissioner before he accepted the handout, still facing scrutiny on Parliament Hill for the move.
The idea that the minister would get 2 free tickets, taxpayer-funded tickets, is concerning, and it shows a lack of judgment.
Pavco would not do an interview with CTV News. Instead, in a statement, said the free tickets help promote events and make important connections for business. Pavco does have a commitment to its community benefit program, donating more than 100 tickets and 4 suites to the Taylor Swift concert to charities across BC, and in turn, raising more than $1 million. Abigail Turner, CTV News, Vancouver.
A Montreal man is facing a charge of dangerous driving. It's alleged he posted a video of himself zigzagging through cars.
It's a dangerous new trend. CTV's Maria Saru has the story.
It's called white lining. Drivers switch between lanes at high speeds. They're risking their lives and putting others in danger, says Annabelle Shepard, a spokesperson for the Crown Prosecutor's Office.
It's conduct that could cause serious bodily injuries or death, whether it be to the driver, passengers, or any innocent bystanders on the road.
Drivers frequently film themselves and publish the footage on social media. It might earn them notoriety online, but in real life, it can be used as evidence of a crime committed, Shepard adds.
When we do have an event that's filmed, there's obviously often a lot of elements that we can look at in terms of whether charges will be laid or not.
Montreal police told CTV News the force's road safety section hasn't seen the phenomenon in the city's traffic arteries. And even though there are stretches with more than 2 lanes, the SPVM says the urban environment doesn't lend itself to it. They added it's the SQ that's in charge of provincial highways. But the SQ did not respond to our requests for an interview. Maria Saru, CTV News.
Still ahead, a warning about the rise in crypto scams, people losing their life savings after seeing posts online that seem legitimate but turn out to be anything but.
Cryptocurrency fraud is on the rise, with scammers targeting people through fake ads on Facebook.
The OPP is releasing the results of a recent project which identified more than 2,000 victims of fraud. CTV's Pat Foran has the details.
I invested, somebody phoned me, they set up an account,
Earlier this year, Gord Takasaki at Brantford was on Facebook when he saw an advertisement that said he could make money fast investing in cryptocurrencies.
Elon Musk has that ad with AI. He's got guys like Wayne Gretzky or, Trudeau was on it lately.
Criminals are using AI to manipulate videos to make it appear celebrities and politicians are endorsing crypto investments, but the ads are fakes. Takasaki started small but kept investing more money when it looked like his investments had quadrupled, but when he tried to take funds out, he couldn't.
He said he didn't receive it. And that's when I started saying, what's going on here?
Takasaki was scammed out of $30,000.
An ad on Facebook. It was two famous celebrities talking about how you can make all this money on this app.
Marion from the GTA asked us not to identify her. She also started investing after seeing ads on Facebook. Over time, she kept putting in more and more money.
But the scammer was so convincing that, I was going to make way more money investing with him than I could ever make with the banks. So I fell for it.
Marion lost her life savings of $200,000.
With crypto, once the funds go, it's very difficult, almost impossible in some cases, to have it reversed.
An investigation by the OPP into crypto fraud called Project Atlas uncovered 2,000 victims in Canada and a dozen other countries. Some victims lost tens of thousands of dollars, but one Toronto investor lost $10 million. Victims were lured into investing after seeing fake ads.
They dump in quite a bit of their life savings or lines of credit just to fund these crypto investments, only to find out that they've lost their money.
I just kept sending the money. It was like I was brainwashed.
Pat Foran, CTV News.
Still to come, the fallout continues from Air Canada's announcement that will see some passengers paying more for baggage.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Shares in TD Bank are dropping today amid uncertainty over the bank's prospects in the near term.
Andrew Bell of B&M Bloomberg has the latest in business.
Hello there. Here are your business headlines. Shares in TD Bank slid 6% this morning. Reporting its Q4 results, the bank told investors it has scrapped its medium-term financial targets as it deals with the aftermath of a money laundering mess in the United States. An analyst at Scotia warned that the uncertainty leaves the shares, quote, without a proper anchor. Bank of Montreal shares edged up 1%, even though Q4 results missed estimates, and the lender once again set aside much more money than expected to cover potential loan losses. Analysts say BMO has posted solid operating results this year, but has disappointed on credit provisions. And finally, Bitcoin topped $100,000 US for the first time. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump named Paul Atkins, an advocate of cryptocurrencies, to be the next head of the U.S. securities regulator. Trump has vowed to undo a Biden administration clampdown on digital assets and turn the U.S. into the global home of crypto. That's the latest in business. I'm Andrew Bell of B&N Bloomberg.
Air Canada has been facing backlash after announcing new fees for certain passengers hoping to bring luggage on board.
With a carry-on, whether the carry-on is in the belly of the airplane or in the cabin, it makes no difference. It doesn't consume more fuel.
Starting January 3rd, Air Canada customers flying basic fare in North America and sun routes will only be allowed to bring a small personal bag or laptop bag for free. Larger carry-ons will have to be checked before security for $35. Anyone who makes it to the gate with an ineligible bag would face a $65 fee to check it.
And I'm very disappointed. In Budget 2024, our government said that we would be examining excess fees and junk fees in a number of areas, including the airline sector. And that's exactly what we have done in certain areas. I will be calling the CEOs of Canada's airlines to a meeting in mid-December where I will be discussing excess fees. This is not acceptable at a time when Canadians' pocketbooks are hurting.
Air Canada calls the decision a competitive response to other industry players. WestJet also has a carry-on charge for their lowest price tickets.
After years of testing and nearly $300 million, the federal government is still years away from fully implementing a replacement for the problem-plagued Phoenix pay system that pays public servants. CTV's Judy Trin has the latest.
Putting in a new pay system hasn't been easy for the federal government. In 2021, Toronto-based Dayforce was chosen as the fix. Officials say Dayforce was the only company willing to fully meet accessibility requirements. Of more than 360,000 federal employees, 6% have disabilities.
We think it's extremely serious that suppliers that come and bid on projects for the Government of Canada can meet our basic national values. So for us, that's not a negotiation point.
The previous system, Phoenix, a debacle, left thousands of workers underpaid, overpaid, or not paid at all. Since then, the government has spent $289 million searching for the next generation pay system. $171 million of that has gone to Dayforce. No date has been set for implementation, but hundreds of millions of dollars more may be needed.
If you throw more requirements, that's something the cost goes up.
Of 3 initial competing bids, Dayforce scored the lowest, but a report deemed it viable. It met 85% of the government's requirements. However, there were 90 gaps. Analysis showed that Dayforce wasn't able to fix some gaps now or with future product development.
It is very complex, and a lot of that complexity falls on us to change.
That means renegotiating collective agreements to standardize work policies and simplify pay rules to fit what Dayforce can do. Bargaining with unions will be a challenge.
We are looking to make it simpler for the government to be able to pay its workforce, but that does not come with rollbacks at the table.
Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
Coming up, how volunteers in one Canadian city are making sure kids' letters to Santa make it to the North Pole despite the ongoing strike by postal workers.
With a few weeks left until Christmas, families are gearing up for the Santa experience with their kids. But one of the annual traditions of writing letters was in jeopardy because of the ongoing postal strike.
But thanks to some dedicated volunteers in one Canadian city, the magic will continue. CTV's Carla Schenebrook has more.
This video made by Sadie Mitchell's mom as the 4-year-old dropped off her letter to Santa. Little did she know it wasn't at the usual mail spot, but here in a front yard of a Martensville home.
Just sad that we might not get a letter back from Santa this year.
But now Sadie and others in the area will get that letter thanks to the generous grandma who lives here.
Her doing this out of literally the kindness of her heart just for kids to have that extra magic at Christmas was really heartwarming and very special.
And that special Santa's helper is Jan Deal, who took it upon herself to create this mailbox and then read all of the letters since there's a postal strike going on and the usual letters to Santa couldn't be sent.
I thought my place would be the perfect opportunity because the kids are coming here anyways.
She delivered 150 letters already, driving around at night with a friend. She had to change the game plan, too, by adding more versions of the reply.
I started out with 3, and then a family of 4 put in letters. So then I had to make up a 4th one because I thought they should each have separate letters.
Opening each of the personally crafted notes to Santa, fielding questions from inquisitive kids.
How do you do it in one night? And then what do you do in the summertime? So I put that we ride our motorcycles, me and Mrs. Claus.
And she's not the only one being caught up in the Christmas spirit. Canada Post workers who have been on strike since November 15th wanted to ensure the Santa letter tradition continues.
Amidst all this stuff that's going on, the strike and everything, really have the strong desire to want to get those letters out to Santa, so they volunteered. We set up the program here in Saskatoon.
Letters can be dropped off in Saskatoon here at the Canada Post picket lines on 51st Street. So while there's a lot of uncertainty out here for Canada Post workers, what is certain is that kids will still be able to experience the magic of Christmas and get those letters from Santa.
Thank you so much. You're a very important part of Christmas this year, Jan.
Carla Schenebrook, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Got to admit, those letters are an important part of the holiday season.
Oh, the kids absolutely love them. Okay, another important part is getting some snow. And we do have some now, but I don't know if it's going to be sticking around forever.
It depends on where you are in southern Ontario. So if you are a little further north, say like north of the 401, you're holding on to the bulk of your snow. For the GTA, the downtown core, especially if you're living right down by the water in the city of Toronto, you're not seeing much snow right now. And we have rain on the way, so that will kind of melt away some of it. But for today, still watching for some streamers off of Lake Huron and Georgian Bay, bringing a few light flurries. For the GTA, the downtown core, we're likely to see them kind of late afternoon, early evening, but not nearly as much as yesterday. Sitting at the freezing mark, but it feels like -7. Those wind chills are getting a little wicked as we head throughout the day today, thanks to a breezy northwesterly wind. Now, as we head in towards the afternoon, again, it gets a little cooler out there. If you do have outdoor plans, make sure you layer up. Tonight, that -7 will feel like -15, so keep that in mind. Frostbite can happen very quickly, but we are warming up as we head in towards the weekend, so maybe something to look forward to, but it does come with rain. But the warm-up is short-lived as we return to that freezing mark by the middle of next week.
All right, we'll take it. Thank you, Jess. And that is CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Jessica Smith and all of us here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Have a great afternoon.